From Dead Island 2 to Jedi Survivor, April was a massive month for video games. So without further ado, let's dive into the gaming news of April 2023. The long-awaited sequel to Star Wars Jedi Fallen Order has just had its review embargo lifted, and the response so far has been very positive, even more so than the 2019 original. Major outlets like IGN gave it a 9 out of 10, and most other reviews ranged from 8 all the way up to some 10s. We posted a review roundup for it earlier this week, but to summarize, critics were fans of the expanded gameplay, huge new explorable worlds, and the engaging story. So essentially, if you're a fan of Fallen Order, then this sequel looks to be a must-buy.
But the release of Star Wars Jedi Survivor is having its fair share of issues. Most notably on PS5 and PC, there's been stutters and poor frame rates, with some users reporting that they can't even maintain 40 frames per second on their high-end graphics cards, which is quite surprising considering the graphics aren't anything groundbreaking, and there's also been reports of issues such as texture popping and other graphical problems. However, it doesn't seem like these issues are getting in the way of the reviewers enjoying the game. After a decade of chaotic development, Dead Island 2 finally released earlier this month. We posted our first impressions video on it, and we actually really enjoyed the game. From the gory combat to the interesting characters and voice acting, the game was definitely fun to play, especially in co-op. And the performance was pretty impressive on PC, so it was quite a nice surprise. Although it may not have been the groundbreaking game that some expected, it's still impressive that it managed to release in a stable state.
Given the chaotic development cycle that you mentioned, I'm amazed that this game hasn't been ripped apart by critics. We posted our review roundup for it, and although there were some negative reviews from outlets such as PC Gamer who gave it just 55, the majority of reviews scored it a 7 or 8. If you're a fan of the original game, you will probably like it, but with around 20 hours of gameplay and a price of $60, it's ultimately up to you to decide whether or not it's worth it. The RTS spin-off of Minecraft Legends, released earlier this month. Last week, we posted our first impressions video, and overall, I'd say that we definitely enjoyed it. Critics, on the other hand, not so much. There were a handful of positive reviews, but most of them scored it around 6 or 7. Steam reviews were also not great, with the game currently sitting at a mixed 63%. So even though we enjoyed it, it's probably worth doing a bit more research to find out if it's worth it for you.
One good thing for the game is that the price of entry isn't actually too high thanks to its day one release on Game Pass, with the length of the game only being around 7 to 8 hours to complete the main story, and the price being at about $40, I'd only really recommend this through Game Pass. Meet Your Maker launched early this month to a huge player base thanks to PS Plus. Being a game built on community content, this has really helped it to succeed, and will hopefully ensure that it thrives for a very long time.
We covered it in a first impressions video, and our thoughts were extremely positive. Navigating these labyrinths of death traps was made so much easier by co-op. I can see it getting pretty frustrating in single player, so the option to play in multiplayer was a very nice addition. Horizon Forbidden West Burning Shores is the DLC update to 2022's sequel to Horizon Zero Dawn. On top of providing around 4 hours of new story content, Burning Shores also lets you explore the ruins of Los Angeles, letting you meet new characters and encounter new machines.
Critic reviews were generally positive, with an 82 on Metacritic. They praised the new storyline, the beautiful areas to explore, and some reviewers even said it had the best boss fight in the series. However, user reviews were much more split, with some people complaining about the length of the DLC, and others arguing that the storyline just simply didn't make sense. The discussion about the ending is a whole can of worms, and in order to avoid spoilers, please feel free to delve into that at your own discretion.
On top of the release of this DLC, we also seemingly got confirmation of a Horizon sequel and online multiplayer spin-off. This was through the announcement of a management reshuffle, where the developers said, quote, "We have full confidence in our new leadership as they steer Guerrilla towards a bright future, expanding the world of Horizon with Aloy's next adventure and our exciting online project." Unquote. While this is far from an official announcement, it's safe to say that if you're a fan of Horizon, there's a lot to be excited about.
One of the biggest stories of this month is that Redfall will be locked at 30 FPS on current gen consoles. This has become quite the worrying trend for console gamers, with other big titles such as Plague Tale Requiem and Gotham Knights releasing with 30 FPS caps. This was revealed alongside an IGN showcase that didn't exactly show the game in the best of lights. This was unfortunate as it was mainly caused by the person playing it not being very good rather than the game itself.
By far, the biggest controversy surrounding Hogwarts Legacy was the lack of inclusion of Quidditch. But fear not, as Portkey Games have just revealed that they're working on a standalone multiplayer Quidditch game. We don't know too much about it yet, other than that it's releasing on PC and consoles, but if it's anything like Hogwarts Legacy, then it's sure to be pretty fun.
The biggest gaming acquisition ever has just been blocked by the UK government's Competition and Markets Authority. This was, of course, Microsoft's attempted acquisition of Activision Blizzard. This would give them access to franchises such as Call of Duty, Candy Crush, and Overwatch, which are some of the biggest games in the world.
This is especially important as recent reports have shown that Xbox hardware revenue is down 30% and gaming revenue is down 4%. With Redfall looking less and less like a hit by the day, Xbox is in dire need of some massive new releases, and this is yet another setback to their shaky start to this generation of consoles.